Today I'm speaking with Ori Lahav, who's the Vice President Client Operations for the Kenneth Group, and also the current President of IAPCO, the International Association of Professional Congress Organizer. Ori has a wealth of experience, also work in a startup and there was in electric car, and we'll be speaking about pandemic leadership, virtual events, as well as event marketing. Enjoy listening to Ori. Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Business of Meeting podcast. And today I'm extremely happy to speak with Ori Lahav. Ori, how are you?
Very well. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Ori, you're the Vice President Clients and Operation for the Kenneth Group, and you also the President of IAPCO, the International Association of Professional Congress Organizer. So when do you sleep?
Not much. IAPCO is obviously a volunteering position. So I do it mostly at nights and weekends, but, I really enjoy the challenge, so I don't mind. Maybe my family minds, but,
I feel for you, when I chair MPI, I left my business in Belgium. So we were finishing at 4 p.m. in Brussels when Dallas was opening until late at night. But, I'm very thankful for people like you to volunteering for our industries. That's very important. So thank you.
Thank you.
How did you get into our industry, first of all? And what is your background, your education, and how did you fall into the meetings and event industry?
It's interesting you said felt to the meeting industry, because once you fall in, you can't get out, which is great. But I got in by chance. I'm actually my background is marketing. I've been working many years in different marketing position, in different industry, working for many years for the telecom, a little bit automotive. Maybe we'll speak about later about the startup I was involved. Which was called Better Place. And it was unfortunately about to be closed. And we knew that those are the last days of our startup, the Better Place, after being working there more than 3 years. And a friend of mine called me and says, listen, there's a position with a company for VP marketing, and they're actually interviewing somebody that you managed in the past, and they wanted your recommendation. And I told my friend, hey, well, we're going to be out of business in a few days. Maybe I can run for the position. He said, oh my God, I didn't even think about it. Let me just, pick up the phone. And he got me connected to, that time, the VP HR, sent my CVs. And after 4 interviews, I was there. I started as managing Kenneth Marketing, which is some sub-company within the Kenneth Group. Didn't have a clue about the meeting industry, how huge, how big it is, but I learned very quickly.
I bet you did. So you were thrown in. You remember your first weeks, your first months? What did you think? What did you discover?
I mean, I discovered that we use a lot of acronyms in the industry, and for me, especially all the associations that we are servicing as a PCO or as an association management, ATTD, ADPD, ESOC, and what else? All those acronyms, CVB, DMC. It took me a while to learn everything. So it was really something I haven't experienced in the past. Of course, running the marketing team, and we have at that time about a big team of 30 people, really international experienced marketing people. So that was very natural for me, because it doesn't really matter if you market a car, a phone, or an event. The basics of marketing are similar. Of course, It's different target audiences, it's different messages, maybe different marketing channels, but the basic, if you know how to structure it well, you can work it out. Of course, and after 4 years in the position, we did some restructuring in the company, and Dan, our CEO and owner, came and asked me to lead this restructuring and lead the clients and operation business unit, which is the biggest unit in the company. We actually executed the congresses and the events. I couldn't say no. He's the boss. And I found myself as a VP Clients and Operation. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Yeah, you were talking about Better Place.
Yeah.
And actually, I ask you because when I prepare for this conversation, and I'm thinking like, my goodness, what he's talking about, I know it. It's absolutely revolutionary. That was the first idea of the batteries for the electric cars.
Yeah, so that was a startup with a mission to change the world, to drive the world. We call it drive the world electric. And I remember I actually had my first 100% electric cars more than 10 years ago. And we have deployed in Israel, in Denmark, and in other places, a full network for switchable battery stations. So you come in, switch your battery in 5 minutes, and continue to drive with 100%. And the whole idea was amazing, and we had an amazing team with a great mission and vision to change the world. And we have raised $900 million from international investors. We had offices from China, Japan, US, Palo Alto. Of course, Israel was the headquarters. And it was amazing. But unfortunately, we were probably a little bit early before the market was ready. And the investment was huge because we didn't get any support from any government. So everything had to be privately financial, especially building the infrastructure. Those battery stations took a while to build. Also, we worked closely with Renault to develop a switchable battery car, and that also was delayed. It was a complicated project, and the costing was huge. And in the end of the day, unfortunately, the investor lost patience and decided to stop investing. Mm-hmm. And I still believe that we did something for the market, and you can see the success of Tesla. You can see the success of other. Every brand is now presenting their new EVs, their electric vehicles. So I do believe that we were able to shift the market going electric, and it was an amazing experience, and also learning from me how to educate the market, which was awesome.
Yeah, I have to tell you that I knew about this project. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal and genius to, instead of waiting to recharge, just to come, click, change the battery, 5 minutes, thank you, not even.
And it worked amazingly because I could drive. Israel is a small country, but I could still drive north to south, east to west without any issues. Of course, you have to plan a little bit because the battery range that more than 10 years ago was not like the Tesla ones.
Yes.
But still, it's much more than the average usage of car. But it is a different mindset for people.
That's awesome. So what did you learn in terms of educating the market or the approach of marketing that you are now applying with the Kenneth Group, and especially what did you do this year with the pandemic to maintain your leadership?
You made the perfect connection, actually, because I think what we have done this year is educate the market. And when I'm speaking about educate the market, I'm speaking about three main audiences. It's the speakers for those virtual events, it's the participants, and the sponsors and exhibitors. Mm-hmm. The three key stakeholders, let's say, of the event. And for all of them, it was a first experience moving to virtual. And our first virtual meeting was, fully virtual, was in the first week of April. It was supposed to be a conference in Vienna in the first week of April, 3 weeks before the Congress, because of the pandemic, of course, and the fact that nobody could have traveled at that point. We decided not to postpone, but to shift to pivot to virtual. And in 3 weeks, we had to record 250 presentations, explain to speakers what are we doing with them, connecting with Zoom, recording the session. It seems, 10 months afterwards, seems okay. What's the big story? So we have invested a lot in educating speakers, actually how to speak in a virtual space when they don't see the audience. There's no interaction. So right. How do you bring this interaction into action even in a virtual session? We have made a lot of efforts of explaining the delegates how to get the most out of the virtual events. From the basics, how to connect, Where do I see my session? How do I see a live session? How do I submit the questions? How I meet people? How I interact? How do I engage with the sponsors and exhibitors? And we've created tons of videos, short videos, explanatory videos, how to, and also promotional. We actually counted how many promotional kind of videos we did this series. It was 550.
Whoa.
Short video. Because we have different clients and different portals and so forth. And obviously, which is still an effort, is educating the sponsors and exhibitors. Because for them, it's more complicated to see the ROI, the return on investment in the virtual space. They are used to stand next to a booth, see the people coming in, scanning their badge, and starting a conversation with the reps. But now they are sitting in front of a computer in front of a virtual booth. They don't see the people in the booth. Nothing is tangible, and now they say, okay, what's my return on investment? Mm-hmm. And that's very challenging. And of course, so part of that was say, okay, maybe you should invest more in education, in having those satellite symposia, and how to also be proactive with engaging with the delegates. Mm-hmm. So what I've learned with Better Place about how to educate the market, it's something that we brought also for the virtual events.
That's awesome. Now, as you know, this podcast, the Business of Meetings, is primarily targeted for business owners, mm-hmm. although for anybody mm-hmm. in our industry. My hypothesis is that as a business owner, as somebody who's helping others, whether you're a third party or you're a leader like Kenneth's group, the idea is always, first of all, to identify the objectives of the company, the strategy that they want to put in place, and then the objective of the meetings and who are the stakeholders, and then to align the content and the meetings to the strategy and those objectives. And to do that, whether you're on a face-to-face or a virtual, the principles are the same. A meeting planner or a professional congress organizer is not the person who's going to execute the production part. Mm-hmm. They're going to partner with somebody. So how did you train people and how did you approach those virtual events that actually the event that was shift into virtual, if you want?
I mean, first of all, when you say leadership and business owners and you said strategy, I think that what was important, especially in a crisis management for leaders, is, of course, not to panic, but that's obvious. But it's also quickly create what we call task force or war room. We come from Israel. We have an army, so we call it the war room. And then you have the different stakeholders within your company. And at that point, when I'm speaking in March and April, we met on a daily basis. Every day at 2 p.m., we had a status meeting, which is something that is not common with the CEO, the management, and additional more stakeholders from the mid-level management to really be in control of the situation. And in those meetings, we also decided on what you call strategy or the taxi. Where do we want to take this ship in order to return to safe harbors? And I've learned also in that you have to be very much proactive with your clients because you cannot just respond to the situation. You need to direct them to the direction you want to take their meeting, because of course they don't have the knowledge and experience enough to do a virtual meeting. At that point, we had experience, but that like we have 10 months later. Right. But in order to ensure financial stability and the fact that the events and the congresses still won't lose money, ends with profit, like what we all want to do. Right. We had to really be proactive and direct them in that way. And of course, we had to work with a lot of third parties and suppliers in order to provide the virtual services. But we realized very quickly when we want to have our own solution. And in the meantime, we have developed a lot of in-house solutions. We had the ability, we were lucky, we're a big company. We had the ability to make things happen. Right. And last November, we launched our own virtual platform.
Excellent. Well done. When you're talking about leadership in Israel and business, I'm always reminded when I hear those words, when I was studying the Master in International Management back in Belgium. In the fourth year out of 5, I had the marketing teacher, which was absolutely amazing, Bernard Adriansen. He was the head of Mitsubishi Commercial.
Mm-hmm.
And in the middle of the course, he was talking about leadership. And he went, do you know why the Israeli army is one of the best in the world? And I'm the only Jew in the class. And I'm thinking, where the hell is this going? And then he goes, because most of the armies of the world, the generals say, okay, go. And in Israel, the general said, follow me.
Exactly. It's
and that's
very
leadership.
true. It's very true. And this is exactly what we've done also in our company. When we started the whole thing, and of course, everything was very hectic. As a senior manager, I did myself the small operational work like every other employee. Why? Because A, I wanted to learn, and B, to set a role model. See, I'm not panicking for the situation. I know how to deal. I recorded speakers. I operated a scientific management platform. Again, one, because I needed to learn, and this is the best way to learn, but also showed everybody, it's possible. If I can do it, everybody can do it, and, follow me. And I think he gave a good example.
Yeah, I never forget that. And the 20 years I spent organizing projects around the world, there's not one project that went exactly as planned. So you really need to be ready for change and to show the example. Now, with all your experience and what you're seeing, when we speak about event marketing, and where are the budgets going? What is the future? And do you see people coming back totally face to face, an hybrid? How do you see the future?
So first of all, about event marketing, I think that the positive thing about this pandemic is that it's accelerated many of the things or processes that we have, in our industry, we've spoken a lot. Hybrid and virtual was a lot of, it was a buzzword where you see a few examples here and there. Of course, now everything, and it will affect, or it is already affecting the marketing side. The big trend today is what we call real-time marketing, response in real time, but in response in a way that actually your different responses are ready before you need to. So you plan for different scenarios. But you know how to react according to what happens. And I don't know if you know, the most famous example of real-time marketing was, I think it was 2013 in the Super Bowl. And if you recall, at that Super Bowl, at the halftime, there was an outage. You remember?
Yeah.
There was an outage about, I don't know, 30 minutes or 40 minutes. And the first brand to react, you know which one it was? You remember?
No.
It was Oreo, because they tweeted and then also posted on Facebook with a nice picture. You can still dunk in the dark, and with a picture of the Oreo, and that went viral like crazy. And that's many years ago, and that's a good and when I read about the story, they actually had a team prepared for different scenarios. Of course, they prepared for different scenarios, who will take the Super Bowl, which team, but they had a team in place ready to respond. It is similar to what we have in event marketing, because everything is now immediate. Everything is social media. Everything is on Instagram, even on TikTok. And you have to know how to have the right team in place to respond quickly, and social, and it becomes a channel of communication. It doesn't mean that you don't do email marketing, but you do it in a different way. You do it more personalized. You're doing a lot of micro segmentation in order to match the right message to the right audience, because if it's relevant for him, then the person might open your email. You have more chances for him opening the email. So that's that direction that the event marketing will take, which is real-time marketing. Regarding a second question about the hybrid and virtual, the standard will become hybrid most probably. So the virtual is here to stay, but it will be merged to an in-person experience. Now, what will be the in-person experience? I think it will be a little bit different, because organizations, understood from the pandemic that education can be done online. If in the past the entire focus of the Congress, was the program, the education about will still be important, but you can still learn after and before, and 3 months after you can do a webinar, and you can have your e-learning portal, and it's a life learning experience, and so forth. So the in-person will have to be a different experience. It has to be a very good experience, because you have to convince people that they have to fly in to get this experience. So it will be more about getting people together, about the socializing, about the networking, and meeting the experts, hands-on workshops. So I think we'll have to focus on what is the added value of virtual versus in-person.
Absolutely. Is it me, or people are really craving to come back in face-to-face and see each other?
I think that people are craving, absolutely. I know I am. I haven't been traveling almost for a year now. And, it's funny, the last travel I did was taking the role of the IAPCO president. In February in Vancouver, we had our annual meeting. And that's it. And that's everything stopped. So, of course, it was also very challenging to do the first year term in the virtual, not meeting any member, not engaging with them, which was super difficult.
Yeah, I'm going to get into that. But before we go to the YAPKO chapter of your life, what you just said about event and marketing is very interesting, because hearing you, it seems to me that there will be an even more higher integration of events and marketing. When you're talking about the different scenarios and obviously communication and social media is a big part of obviously the communication before, during, and after. So how do you see two things? The first one, how do you see the level of power? Who's going to own the budget? And how do you see those two teams working more and more together in the future?
Yeah, I mean, it was always a battle on the marketing budget. From the early days, I was a junior marketing manager. I wanted to spend more money. And of course, one of the challenges in marketing is very difficult to show return on investment, because you don't know exactly which one of the activities is the one that generated the sale, or in our case, the bringing participant to the event. We always say that you have to see something 3 times in order to be convinced. So you need to see an ad on LinkedIn, you need to see a email marketing, and maybe to hear from a colleague about what you're selling. But on the other hand, the marketing costing has actually decreased, because I was involved in producing TV commercials in the past, in my previous position, that cost millions. It could be $1 million just to produce the ad, and then spend additional millions for the prime time on TV. But now with $100, you can do such targeted advertising on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, that it's much more cost efficient. So with the same amount, you can be more efficient. And I think that's the direction it will take.
Got it. Now that reminds me of the story of Dollar Shave Club. The guy used $4,500 to shoot a video, and a few years later sold the company for $1 billion to Unilever.
Exactly.
And so who will own the budget? Because obviously if they own the budget, they own the decision making. Would it be the event department? Would it be the marketing department? Would it still be split? Or you see a more integration of one into the other? Because everybody always saying, I want a seat at the table. Well, the seat at the table, you have it, you take it. And it also depends of who owns the budget.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, the client is the one who owns the budget. The marketing need to have a good sales pitch to earn the I mean, in the end of the day, you want to ensure that you have a profitable outcome, and you need to find the balance. how much you invest in marketing. Again, I'm a marketing person, so for me it's very obvious how much you need to spend a lot, but it's not reality for everybody. But the owner, it's not, the budget will not stay within the marketing team. That will be the executors.
So a business owners in an industry that are targeting a customer should not only speak with the meetings department, but would definitely need to speak as well with the marketing department.
Yeah, absolutely. When we make sure that we have good connection and relationship between the business owner and the marketing, although they don't usually work directly, because it's important to get them involved. Yes.
Absolutely. So you were alluding to it a little earlier. You take the reign of IAPCO in February 2020. And then everything went down. It's all because of you, Ori. So it's in all seriousness, how did you manage to become president of YAPKO in such a time? And what did you do? And how is the organization going?
So first of all, how do I actually got to be involved in IAPCO and become the president? Again, one of the things that helped me, going back to how I started with the meeting industry, we are lucky to have so much content online for us these days, especially for us as meeting professionals. And there's many organizations, you mentioned MPI, PCMA, IAPCO, ICA. There's so much content you can consume and help you learn and help you with the onboarding of the industry. And one of the things I like to do is educate. I come from a family of educators. I'm actually the only one in the family who's not a teacher or a principal at school or something, but it's probably something in my genes. And I like to speak at an event and to share from my knowledge. I think it's very important. I'm another person who keeps everything personally for me.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, so I started getting involved with some of the, speaking at some of the industry events, a lot about marketing at that time, about how you do event marketing. And then I did an IAPCO, I was asked to do an IAPCO session in an ICA Congress in Buenos Aires. And all the IAPCO members that were participating in the ICA event were sitting in the audience and being very supporting and waiting after the session and engaging and talking, which was great. And they offered me to do some more seminars for IAPCO, and I really enjoyed it because for us as PCO, IAPCO is the most relevant association. It helped us with ensuring we increase the standards of services in our industry. Mm-hmm. And one thing led to another, and I decided to run for a council position, which is like the board of IAPCO. I've been in council for 2 or 3 years, became vice president, and became president.
Congratulations.
And I'm very passionate about this organization. It's actually funny because the first time I went to an IAPCO meeting was Cape Town. And again, I was new to the industry. And IAPCO is all about sitting with your competitors, which doesn't make business sense. I come from, telecom, automotive. Right. You will never sit in a round table with all your competitors and participate in a session about challenges and what keeps you awake at night, because it's your competitor next to you. But to be honest, this is exactly how it works at IAPCO, and we are good friends. We are good competitors, and we are good friends, working together to the benefit of all of us, ensuring that association, corporates, and people who organize events understand the advantage of working with IAPCO member, especially when it comes to quality, ethics, and we do it a lot through education. So it was, for me, though it fit like a glove, I would say.
That's awesome. So you're talking about Buenos Aires, you're talking about Brazil, you're talking about South Africa, and this year you've been meeting in the kitchen, in the living room, in the bedroom.
So in my living room now.
How is the association looking at the future? What do you see? Are people already starting to book again in 21? I'm hearing a lot of people saying that we're looking at the summer, beginning of Q3. Is that also what you're hearing?
Let's say I was more optimistic before the recent weeks because, seeing the pace of vaccination across Europe, US, and other countries, it's with the exception of Israel, it's very slow compared to what we have thought it will be. Of course, traveling is still in the majority of the world is still restricted. So when we have finished our 21 planning a couple of months ago, yes, we said until July, August, it will still be virtual, and that from that point it will be hybrid. But to be honest, I think that we are looking more Q4 end of the year until we can actually meet in person. Maybe during the, in between, you will see more on the national level, and then multi-hub comes in place. Maybe you can have a virtual meeting, but still have a few hubs that will gather together with the limitation of 50, 100, 150 people, whatever they will allow according to the regulation of the specific countries, which is a kind of a hybrid, but it's more complicated to operate.
Understood. Thank you. Ori, before we end this conversation, when we meet in a year from now with a bottle of champagne, what will we be celebrating?
Celebrating health, first of all. Celebrating the fact that our meeting industry is strong, it was resilient, was able to quickly adapt to the new situation. And, we have a lot of industry friends. It's a huge ecosystem, CVBs, DMCs, PCO, venues, hotels. Hopefully, everybody will come back to norm, which is important.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you for having me.
Ori, thank you for sharing your experience and your time with me today. I truly enjoy our conversation. You have an amazing career. You made a very good point about leadership, about the future, and about event marketing, and who owns the budget for future events. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to connect with me, please reach out on LinkedIn and also join our Facebook group at www.evenbusinessformula.com/group. Thank you.